Some of you here may remember that earlier this year my wife and I organised a meeting with a group of solicitors. Now, I spoke to him today. He currently has 30 cases on his books from around Haberfield and Concord, and late last week he's begun taking calls from people that live down St Peters, where they're going to try to reclaim some of the places down Campbell Street, which they've obviously thought out, because once the traffic gets up into Edgware Road, there's a weight restriction. Now, I urge people not to sit back and wait. If you feel that your house is going to be acquired at any stage, or it has been, or it may be, please seek some legal advice, because the government will not play fair. So keep that in mind. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, on Marrickville Council a month or two ago, Urban Growth New South Wales came and gave councillors a briefing and put up a PowerPoint display of a map with a whole lot of sort of red areas along Parramatta Road. You probably had a similar one in Ashfield. One of the areas targeted for some pretty dense residential is around the Lewisham area. I think the number was 5,000 extra dwellings in that area. And I asked the question of Urban Growth New South Wales, how are the local roads going to cope? They're not all going to suddenly get on WestConnex and go, east-west. How are they going to get onto Old Canterbury Road, which many people will know is chock-a-block already full of traffic, and you can't easily expand that infrastructure? Where are they going to go to school? Where are they going to go to childcare? Where are they going to recreate? We don't have room for extra parks. So it's just not well thought through. But the really big areas in terms of high concentrations of unit and office space is sort of the Homebush area and a bit further west. But certainly Petersham, Lewisham are in their sights.
It's totally unacceptable that any government knowingly puts pollution on local people. It's just totally unacceptable. We know it's carcinogenic, we know it's toxic, we know it has health problems, so it's just totally unacceptable. What they can do is put filters. Filters will reduce 95% of the toxins, but it costs money, and that has to be built into it. So we know from the M5 tunnel, it was one of the issues was actually hard to see sometimes when cars in peak hours. So it actually the visibility was a problem. So they did put retrospectively they put a filtration system in. One of the issues was I think it cost $68 million to put in, and it cost over $800,000 a year to run. So they switched off most of the time. So when they actually did studies to say, well, does it work? We know that it should work about 95% if it's built in, but 65% if it's retrofitted. So when they did the studies, I read the reports and it said it only reduced emissions by about 5 or 10%. And it's like, that didn't make sense. But apparently they just didn't switch it on. So you've got to trust them to switch it on.
On that matter of filtration, I mean, one of the arguments that the government will mount against filtering stacks is the energy requirement, which, as you say, $800,000 a year. But even without filtration, the energy requirements of these underground motorways is massive, because you've got to have a ventilation system. You've got to have a pumping system, because you get seepage of water into these tunnels. So if you're at all interested in the environment, there's all these hidden costs to the environment that's involved in these motorway tunnels.
Hi, my name's Nell. I'm originally from Penrith. And I think you should all know that the people of the western suburbs and southwestern suburbs have been fooled into believing that they need more roads, and that better public transport is not really in their interest. We actually moved from Western Sydney to Haberfield because my husband was spending 3 hours on the M4 every day coming to and from work. What we need to do is also rally and try to get the information, because my son was told at school the reason why the public transport is not important enough is because people are not making enough noise out there to say, we want better trains, we want trams, we want buses. These empty buses that are running around areas that are ghost buses, the money could be filtered into areas out west to get people from their homes, which they've built in satellite cities out in the middle of nowhere, because those guys don't even even have parking near their stations to be able to drive to their local station and catch a train from Penrith into the city. Not only that, they're paying $52 at Mount Druitt for the pleasure of standing up for the 45 to 50 minutes that it takes to get into the city. So if any of you candidates up there want to be elected in, what we really need to do is also blow out the focus on the transport that is required in these satellite cities that they build in the middle of nowhere without thinking of how are we going to move these office workers from out there to their jobs. Because the tradies, the nurses, the emergency people need, right, to be in their cars on the road. Office workers don't. They need better trains, they need better buses, they need more timetabling and more of a chance to get to work. That will solve your problem, and that will not create the need for more roads.
I, on the 28th of November last year, saw in the Sydney Morning Herald a large portal coming right up my bum at my back door. And I thought, what the hell is going on? What the hell is going on? So I got active. I'm just a punter, I'm just a local resident from Concord. I have small, narrow suburban streets that 25 houses will be taken. We have to rehouse 3 residents because they're infirm, they're in their 90s. WestConnex is a disaster, as you well know. So the effects that are going to hit us, and I don't think you really understand what is going to happen. There will be 1 truck movement every minute for 3 years around my house in Concord to build a portal coming in and out of the M4 East Tunnel, which effectively goes straight to a car park at City Westlink. The whole design of WestConnex in its current form is essentially to service the airport. All right? Max Moore-Wilton makes most of his revenue out of parking. We have an intermodal hub, transport hub in Enfield, which will bring more trucks to local areas, which isn't even included in WestConnex planning. The port is not even included in WestConnex planning. So fundamentally, this is a catastrophic road system that is going to go right underneath all of us. Long-term health effects, we've heard it here today. Long-term. How many of you have kids and grandkids? Lots of you, right? Okay. We are going to have a city. Nowhere in the world do they build tunnels in urban areas. The road builders, the tunnel builders are the Swiss and the Japanese. They put them through mountains. They do not put them in heavy, urban areas. Sydney will be awash of tunnels. 33 kilometres of tunnels.